This is KGW News at noon.
And we start at noon with breaking news out of Washington, D.C. Republican Jim Jordan has failed to become Speaker of the House after the first round of voting. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Brenda Braxton. Now, the voting wrapped up within the last 90 minutes and 20 Republicans voted against him. Couple of things to know about this race. With the current House breakdown, Jordan needs 217 votes to win the Speaker's gavel. All 212 Democrats voted for Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Jordan can only afford to lose 3 votes from his own party to secure his election. Oregon Republican Lori Chavez DeRemer was one of the 20 votes against Jordan. She voted for former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy instead. Right now, Jordan is meeting with members of the GOP, trying to win over holdouts on the second ballot. A source told CNN Jordan is prepared to go as many ballots as it takes to win. Now to the latest in the Middle East and the Hamas-Israel war. President Biden will visit Tel Aviv tomorrow in a show of support for Israel. That comes as the Palestinian Health Ministry says an Israeli airstrike hit a hospital today, killing at least 200 people. Still no deal to get humanitarian aid into Gaza, but the Pentagon ordered another 2,000 troops to be ready to deploy to the region. Here's NBC's Jay Gray on the ground in Israel with the latest.
Hey there, good evening. From what's been a relatively quiet day here in Tel Aviv, not nearly as much work for the Iron Dome blocking some of the missile strikes aimed at this area. It's been quiet there and on the ground as well. There are a lot of people obviously very tense about the ongoing situation, but very pleased with the idea that President Biden is on his way to Israel. Talked with some older Israelis today who said never in their lifetime would they have imagined a sitting U.S. president coming into this area during wartime. And while the president is here to continue to support Israel and to show that the U.S. supports their effort here, he is also coming with a humanitarian focus as well. The White House saying that at every stop, every time he talks, he will talk about getting aid to some of those 2 million or more trapped in Gaza who have not had access to water, to fuel, to food, to medicine for the better part of 2 weeks at this point. So that's something he's going to drive home as well during his brief trip here. Let's talk about both ends of Gaza. You've got Rafah, the border with Egypt, where thousands of foreign nationals have been gathering over the last few days with the hopes that they could get out of the area. That hasn't happened to this point. That's something that continues to be a key topic diplomatically, and talks are working back and forth on finding some type of transport for those foreign nationals to leave, and for that aid that we talked about to get in. It is now stacked up outside of the border in Rafah and ready to be transported in and get to those who need it. But again, it's just not something that's happened. Then on the other end, the southern end, you've got a continued buildup of equipment and troops, the continued talk of a ground advancement at some point. We haven't seen that happen. What Israeli leaders are saying is that they are going to do this on their terms and on their time, but that just because it's been delayed at this point does not mean it's going away. So at both ends, no real movement onto the border at this point, but a lot of concern about where things may move next. That's the latest here in Tel Aviv. I'm Jay Gray. Back to you.
Lewis and Clark College says it's working to remove pro-Palestinian graffiti spray painted on 4 academic buildings. The taggers got away early yesterday morning, but not before they also left messages disparaging the university. Students sent KGW video of the vandalism. We spoke to one senior who's upset by what happened. He asked us not to use his name because he fears retaliation.
I mean, I'm Jewish, so kind of sucks to, like, I don't know, I've been to Israel, I have family and friends there. It's a really complicated situation, right? Not that, like, saying Free Palestine is anti-Semitic, it's not. But what goes around with it, and, like, what people have been posting and all that kind of stuff gives off that I'm not really welcome here.
In an email to students, Lewis and Clark said it's doing its best to quickly remove the graffiti, but administrators add because there's so much of it, it's going to take some time. Stay with KGW and NBC News as we continue to follow the Israel-Hamas war and the humanitarian effort to help those caught in the middle. You can find updates on KGW.com and on the KGW app. A local charity is asking for help finding temporary housing for refugees from Ukraine, Afghanistan, and Central America. Catholic Charities says it's resettled more than 200 people during the past year, and it does expect more in the future. It's now asking local property owners to consider sharing their spare rooms for between 3 and 6 months.
There's a lot of our refugees that have been in camps for 10 to 20 years, so they never had a stove, or they don't even know how to use a restroom or stuff like that. So even just providing that bed and that space for them to feel safe, that means a lot.
We've posted more information about the Catholic Charities Refugee Housing Program on our website. Other headlines we're tracking for you this noon. 2 big announcements from REI. The Washington-based outdoor store is laying off 275 workers, but it's hiring 1,000 more for the holidays. Some stores that have unionized are crying foul. They say REI is breaking the law by not negotiating with the union before making cuts. So far, no comment from the company. Today, the Portland Public School District is holding its last mediation session with the teachers union. If they can't reach a deal, teachers could vote to strike. The earliest a walkout could happen is October 30th. Worst case, PPS would close all schools, but the district says it will make allowances for families who rely on school meals and child care. And a reminder, today is the deadline to register to vote in Clackamas County's special election. It's not countywide, but if you live in one of the places listed there on your screen, you will get a ballot. The website OregonVotes.gov has more information. And Clackamas County elections will be open until 7 p.m. if you need any help registering. The special election is coming up November 7th. Okay, let's take a look outside from our Rose City Skycam. Lots of clouds, but Rod, earlier today, that was a lot of fog.
Yeah, it was. There is some blue over downtown. I know that camera shade was quite murky, but we're making progress. So good afternoon to you. Do want to point out, we still have these clouds, the flow, producing some traces of light rain this morning in Clatsop County. That's pretty much gone, and the shower activity is now pretty much north of Cowlitz County. The clouds I'm tracking or watching are thinning and moving up to the north. So the rest of us, it's just quiet and dry. The fog is gone, but it's been a gradual process to get out of the fog that we had this morning. Here's kind of a mostly cloudy scene from Cannon Beach at noon. Here's Willamette Valley Vineyard just south of Salem. They're starting to clear out. Other parts of the wine country still overcast. And here's, you jump just over the West Hills and you drive out toward Hillsboro. Here's the Reserve Vineyards and Golf Club in Aloha. Not foggy, but still very overcast. And then you go over to the east side and it's been a partly cloudy morning. That's the camera over in Gresham off of Powell at Gresham Subaru. So it really depends on where you are. And again, there's downtown Portland right now. Our temperature, though, not bad. We're at 62. Let's go for increasing sunshine for the remainder of today. We should get up to about 68 degrees for high. Still think we'll be up into the 70s tomorrow. That's ahead on my 7-day forecast.
Oh, that sounds nice. Thank you, Rod. A quick heads up for drivers. This winter, ODOT says it'll cut back on some services. That includes plowing certain roads less frequently and adjusting the amount of sand and de-icer it applies. ODOT blames budget trouble. It says it's getting less money from gas taxes because more people are driving electric cars.
These reductions in services due to our unfunded transportation system are going to continue until we figure out a new structure for a budget. So things will continue to get worse, pavement will continue to decline, and we'll have less services available as our money runs out.
ODOT says it'll use the resources it does have to prioritize key routes like I-84 and parts of Highway 26. Well, today we're hearing from neighbors after Washington County deputies arrested 8 people over the weekend. The arrests were in connection with a suspected drug house in Aloha on Thiessen Place. Authorities say neighbors have called more than 60 times this year complaining about the home.
We've already been finding needles and, other drug paraphernalia. We've lost sleep, so we're all having a hard time to just existing in these homes that we lived for years and years.
Now, we did speak to the man who lives in that suspected drug house. He has not been charged and denies there are drugs in the home. He's accusing his neighbors of harassment.